Well, the World Cup may have just finished, but we're already looking forward to the next major championship, which is, of course, Euro 2016 in France. Well, the qualifying stages begin next Sunday, the Republic of Ireland kicking off their Group D campaign away to Georgia. Well, Kenny Cunningham knows exactly what it feels like. We met up with him to get his views on Ireland's upcoming Euro journey.
Georgia.
Kenny Cunningham wearing the captain's armband for Ireland.
Georgia.
A knife has been thrown onto the pitch. Good God.
The memory's not the best. I remember the goals all right now. Duffus and Doc got the winning goals. Doc was a funny one because we dominantly playing as a centre-half. We utilised him as a centre-forward quite a lot of the time, which was quite amazing. He was really effective and came up with some really important goals, but it's no more so in that particular game. It used to make us laugh because we had him christened Doc, the step-over Doc. We used to call him because he loved a little step over when he got to the opposition penalty box. So he was good for at least 2 or 3 of them during the course of a game. But that particular occasion he came up late. I think it was a headed goal. Got the winning goal with about 5-10 minutes to go. And that was important because although you say away from home a point's a good result, against the smaller nations, I think, you know, if you're going to compete at the very top and qualify from the group, they're the games really want to be eking out a victory. It's a really competitive group, and like you said, there's something on every game. People will talk it down and say, and use it as a stick maybe to beat ourselves down with a little bit. Oh, we only have 3 or 4 playing the top Premiership clubs. It doesn't really bother me, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I'd rather look at the players, the character of the players and the qualities which they have, no matter what level that they're playing with. And like I said, that gives me confidence. I think we've got young developing players within the squad. We've got one of the best right backs in Europe in Shay, Coleman. James McCarthy in central midfield, you know, an outstanding midfielder, only going to get better. You know, so, you know, we should be talking a number of our players up rather than talking the whole squad down.
It's off the post, and it's Keane again, and it's in the net!
I think there'll be games when, without a doubt, Robbie will start behind the number 9, whether that be Shay or Jonathan Walters. I'm a big fan of as well. Anthony Stokes, he's a number of options, Kevin Doyle in that area of the pitch. I think possibly though, if Robbie does start behind a main striker, probably will be Shane and Jonathan Walters. And I think Shane's kind of mobility and his pace, you know, his acceleration, his ability to really stretch teams in behind will probably give him the nod in that respect. But there might be times in this qualifying campaign, and I'm thinking maybe Germany away, maybe Poland away, when Martin might look at it and think, you know what, I might just need that extra man in central midfield. I might have to sacrifice one of those strikers. So maybe one of the first occasions when Robbie may have to sit out 1 or 2 of the games on the bench and maybe play a role as an impact substitute later in the game. So it'll be interesting to see how Martin kind of manages those things as the group goes on. If I'm being honest, I was a little bit disappointed to see him step away to a certain extent and take on his responsibilities at Aston Villa. I could understand it, but from an Irish point of view, I'm being a little bit more selfish. I like him around 100% of the time, you know, totally devoting himself to the Irish job. But that hasn't happened. It is what it is. But I still think he can certainly make a contribution behind the scenes. Not good enough now just to qualify for major championships. Having worked so hard to get there, like we saw at the previous Euros, to go there and underperform, I don't think there's a worse feeling from a professional's point of view. So that's something that we'll have to rectify, but that's somewhere in the future. At this moment in time, it's about the next game coming up, which is Georgia away. Let's get points in the bag, hopefully 3 points, and we're on our way.
Well, we'll talk about our prospects with Pat and Alan very shortly. But first, we're joined on the line now by a player who would love to be in the squad, but for the moment isn't. But he still has some massive Champions League nights to look forward to with his club, Apoel Nicosia. Killian Sheridan, the only Irish player in this season's Champions League. Killian, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. You have an awful lot to look forward to in the group stages of the Champions League. A great draw, but a fairly daunting one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of very tough games. Great games for the club here and for the fans, and also for us as players to be involved in, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was a very good campaign so far for you in that third qualifying round and indeed in the playoff match. 3 goals to your Champions League credit so far. You'd obviously like to add to that in the group stages. Yeah,
no, definitely to score against any of those teams would be a big achievement, and if I can score and help us get a good result, then all the better. But no, like I said, just looking forward to it.
Yeah, I know your Twitter reaction was very much tongue-in-cheek when the draw was made, when you saw you'd got Barca, Paris Saint-Germain and Ajax. Your response was easy, but it surely must be a thrill for the club to get opposition of that calibre.
Yeah, no, definitely. It creates a massive buzz among the supporters, the players, everyone. Between the draw and now, we had our first league game, so it was kind of put a bit into the back seat. So I think now we can kind of look forward to it a bit more. But definitely, yeah, it was a tongue-in-cheek comment.
Yeah, and apart from impressing your manager there at Apoel Nicosia, Killian, you also won't mind if you get a chance to impress Martin O'Neill, and you'll have that opportunity in the Champions League because it's such high profile, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's the pinnacle of club football at the minute. If I can impress them there, then brilliant. But I know it's not just a case of, I've said this before, it's not just a case of me being in a team that's in the Champions League. I need to be in a team and playing for them. So that's basically my next task is to keep in the team for those games, because they're games that everyone will want to be involved in.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it, Killian. The Champions League experience can only be of benefit to you as a player, and we'll be keeping a closer eye than usual, I suppose, on those Group F encounters with PSG, Barcelona and Ajax, and we certainly wish you the very best of luck in the Champions League campaign and indeed for the rest of the season, and we do appreciate you taking the time out to take the call this evening, Killian. Thank you.
Cheers, thanks a million.
So many thanks to Killian Sheridan, and we certainly hope he has a very good Champions League campaign with Apoel Nicosia. OK, we've got to move on, and earlier we heard from Kenny and his thoughts on Ireland's Euro qualifying chances. But the biggest story on the international stage to develop this weekend is, of course, the return of Shay Given. Tony O'Donoghue spoke to him earlier today.
Welcome back. Thank you. Did you ever think you'd see this day?
Probably not, no. But just delighted to be here, you know. Just the excitement, even flying over in the plane last night to be back in Ireland is something special, you know. It's, if I do play, it seems near enough like a second debut, to be honest. And you know, I spoke to Martin a couple of times in the last number of months, and you know, he called me on only just Saturday morning, you know, on the way to training. So delighted he called me up.
And what changed your mind?
Not really much. I mean, I probably missed it as much as anything, you know. The honour of playing for Ireland, the buzz that you get, the privilege to play for your country, you know, you miss that. And you know, you're a long time retired, you've a long time to look back, and I don't want to think in 10 years, you know, I should have, you know, given it another go or played another few games or tried to help the country as best I could. I don't want to have any regrets when I do hang up the gloves, and you know, that was sort of eating away at me as well, and I felt that I could still help the team, help the squad, and you know, and of course help Martin and help Roy as well.
I was wondering, was Roy Keane at Villa a factor in this at all?
Well, you probably need to ask Roy that, but no, Roy's been great since he come to Villa, and I'm sure, you know, he's a big help in getting me back in the squad. Obviously he sees me every day in training at Villa, and you know, he's on the phone to Martin regularly, of course, and keeping an update, and I'm sure that was a big factor as well.
Well, one thing for definite that Shay Given brings to the Ireland squad is some very valuable experience. We'll talk about it in a moment. First of all, Pat, I just want to refer back to Killian Sheridan there, and he has a great Champions League adventure ahead of him. Hopefully it all goes well for him. But it's interesting the way his career has taken him to Cyprus, and some would have thought Cyprus, but now he's in the Champions League, which will be invaluable to him as a player.
It's fantastic for him. I mean, to be going from Celtic, he's been on loan to a couple of clubs, and he's gone, you know, around the block a little bit, and now all of a sudden he's playing at the highest level that you can possibly play at regard to Champions League. So, you know, as he said himself, he needs to be playing every week, and what a fantastic opportunity for him. But he was always a lad who would score goals anyway, and you know, even at underage level he scored goals for the Irish teams, and he's done it in Celtic, St Johnstone, Plymouth, anywhere he's gone. So, you know, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. Nice little story as well.
Yeah, it is. And you're involved in sports management and involved with young players, and in the past the orthodox route has been to go into England and earn your corn over there. But isn't somebody like Killian Sheridan and players of that ilk possibly better off exploring other avenues, because it may open up opportunities, as this has done for Killian Sheridan? Would you not, as a sports management involved in that business, look elsewhere apart from England?
Well, we do, you know, but it depends on what country you're looking at. I mean, nowadays it's all opened up. The Bundesliga now are actually interested a lot in Irish players, and that's an amazing thing that's happened in the last couple of months. You look at Portugal, they've also inquired, and of course you look at Damien going out to Australia, and then you look at the United States. the inquiries that are coming in there. Yeah, we've depended an awful lot totally on the UK market, but Scandinavia was good to us in the past as well, and that has closed a little bit. But no, players really should look wherever they can take their career to better themselves, and I think Killian is a perfect example, and I just think I hope it works out great for him, because the whole country here will certainly be interested in how well he does.
Yes, we'll all be sort of closet Apoel Nicosia supporters for the duration of that group campaign. Let's divert our attention now to the upcoming internationals. Oman, the friendly, fine, okay, but we're more concerned with the Euro campaign. The reintroduction of Shay given to the squad, Alan, is that a good or a bad thing from your point of view?
Yeah, I'm a bit unsure about this one, Peter, to be honest with you. Obviously, Shay Given is a Republic of Ireland legend, as we all know. He gave great service to the country, but he hasn't really played too much football, as we know, in the last couple of years.
So it's hard for us or anybody else to know what sort of form Shay is in, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. No one knows, because he hasn't played, and I suppose that'll all be revealed next week when we see, because let's be honest, he's not coming back into the squad to sit on the bench, which leads me to believe obviously Martin O'Neill doesn't fancy David Ford and also Westwood, and I think it's a bit harsh on David Ford.
Although it's been said there are no guarantees.
Oh yeah, he said that, and I would fully kind of presume there's no guarantees. He's come out and said that. But let's be honest, Peter, if he's coming out of retirement at 38, the legend that he is, he's not coming over here just to go training in the AUL or in Malahide. So it leads me to believe that obviously Martin O'Neill is kind of unsure about David Ford, which I think is a bit harsh, because David Ford hasn't let anyone down in the country. The couple of years he's obviously stepped in since Shay has retired. He's done very well, I feel, in the games that he's played. But I suppose all will be revealed, as you said, next Sunday when the qualifying starts and we see how Shay does. Yeah,
it certainly will, Pat. A final brief word on the other issue that has cropped up with the international weekend that's coming up, and that's the story with Mark Noble, whether he's interested or whether he's not to play for Ireland. I mean, what's your view? I mean, should we welcome him into the squad if he finally makes a decision, or I mean, well, look, what do you think of it?
Going back to the Shay Given slightly, if Martin wants a player in, Martin is 100% sure that he's going to do a job for him. Yeah. Let's be honest, right. Shay Given hasn't had the match practice that maybe Alan is saying, but he trains, he goes to work every day, he's there and he's working hard. And
what about Mark Noble?
Equally with Mark Noble, if he wants to play, why not? If he doesn't, well then that's fine.
Yeah, your view on that one?
Yeah, I think Mark Noble, he's an established Premiership player. We don't have too many of them at the moment, Peter, unfortunately. So is he going to better the squad? I think he will better the squad. If you're asking me, is he a better player than probably Whelan's playing there at the moment alongside McCarthy? I think he's a better player than Whelan, and definitely if you're going to introduce him into the squad and he's going to improve things, why not? We used it up for so many years with Jack Charlton.
No, we certainly did, and we benefited greatly as a result.
No one was given out then, so why not now?
Yeah, well, that's one that we'll be certainly talking about in future weeks, that's for sure.